Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the BTS series Europe. I guess technically the fourth one in the series so far. We are in the playoffs today. It all comes to an end today. We've already witnessed one playoff series so far. It was Vega versus Elements. Elements pulled out a big upset, managed a 2-0 Vega, who were undefeated up to that point, and now we're about to embark in our other playoff series. We got Virtus.Pro versus, I forgot, so let me look, Friends. We got Friends, Blaze. This should be a doozy of a series as well, and really, I don't know what team's going to take the whole thing now that Vega has just been trounced out.
Yeah, absolutely. The first couple of days, VP G2A, they kind of were a little bit awkward. They didn't seem on the right foot. They were actually at a boot camp, so it seems like that would be kind of safe territory, but they had internet issues, they had all these other weird things. They come back and they start stomping. They started weak, they ended up really strong, and I actually think they have some of the best potential here. But, Friends consistently have been able to take really good series throughout, and they have something to prove for themselves for sure.
So let's see who's going to be off to the hot start in this one. Friends, I guess, coming in, playing a match elsewhere. I actually never really investigated where they were playing. Could have been Pro Dota Cup is probably my best jab at it. But that means they're warmed up and ready to go. So if that's any factor to anyone, then take it with a grain of salt, I suppose. Opening up into the draft for game number 1, Virtus.Pro banning out the Drought early and the Shadow Demon, which we saw a lot of success in game 2 of that Elements matchup against Vega. They get the Kunkka and the Slardar will be our first Kunkka of the day. Friends nab up our first Oracle of the day, but Mirana we've been seeing plenty of airtime with, and we'll be here for the side of Friends. Already some fun mini synergies there, Blaze, of course. You get the early Fortune's End into Arrow. The first time I saw that as a combo was Fluff's team.
Yeah, exactly.
With, well, don't tell me. Was it Root? Was it when he was on Root Gaming?
That would have been really early. I don't know if it was on Root.
I can't remember the team he was on after Root, but before obviously being a part of KotLGuy.
Yeah, obviously.
But I definitely saw Fluff pulling it off first in lane. It might have been with Whitebeard as well.
It was that whole roster there. Evernovas. It was never
Evernovas. That's right. But it just kind of opened a lot of eyes, and now that Oracle is obviously the support to get, we'll be seeing plenty of this synergy, I'm sure, in this meta with where we are now until a magical balance patch does come into play.
And even then, these heroes probably still will stand the test of time. They've had their fair share of nerfs, but I think they're in a pretty good spot overall. Maybe people think Mirana's a little bit too strong, but you can tweak a few of her numbers and the hero could be perfectly fine.
Do you think that she became at this very strong level just solely based on the Ags only?
Yeah, that Agnes is actually one of the most ridiculous upgrades that any hero has. The fact that
for sure.
She didn't have anything that met her power curve before. Like you would often see Hannah Midas on Mirana just because there's no like 2,000 gold item that you could pick up. Drums, Yasha, like whatever. But picking up an Aghanim's, investing 4,200 gold in something that allows you to farm and to fight, it's pretty insane. But beyond that, looking over the side of Virtus.Pro here, they're going for pretty much what we've seen all tournament long, which is in-your-face AoE initiation. You see the Sand King and the ET banned out, they pick up the Kunkka and Slardar instead. They're perfectly fine. Just get up in there and really close the distance and bring in the big team fight power. So obviously they'll have to opt for physical damage focus now. They have the control from the Slardar, the Kunkka. Now they need something to really bring the right click home.
Yeah, not really revealing too much of a game plan for either team. So still a lot of ceiling to work with here. Virtus.Pro's third pick now. Got lots of way to manipulate, lots of ways to initiate here already for them.
I don't think you have to go for Huskar here, but I think you should go for something that can deal with Huskar pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. Oracle's already on the side of Friends. He wasn't banned out in the second phase. Witch Doctor, that person? I don't know, but they still have one more pick to work with at least.
I'd say so. I mean, you get even 2 cast bounces, and the Huskar, you're really impacting his ability to armlet toggle or lifesteal. And the Death Ward, there's no way for him to interrupt it, or only right now Mirana on the field. So it's actually pretty difficult to play around as potentially a Huskar. But still, that Oracle combos up with him so well with that False Promise. Even Purifying Flames probably works with him better than any other hero just because of the fact that magic damage doesn't do much to him at low HP.
He definitely feels more flexible. I mean, you don't want to go as far as all-in AA. Even though AA also is good against Oracle, it just means that if they don't go with Huskar, it's like, oh, now we're stuck with an AA.
Yeah, no, you don't
where a Witch Doctor would have been better.
You don't really want to go for that until you're very clear-cut, knowing exactly what you're up against and knowing that you're countering it, because otherwise you kind of draft yourself into a corner where you keep on expecting a certain pick, and so suddenly they pull on Meepo or something else that you're just not ready for. So I expect Friends here to probably just continue drafting the way that they have been, just kind of being ambiguous. This third pick here isn't as strong for the first pick team as it used to be. So here you can kind of still put something generic that still works well in terms of the fighting stance, and I think that'd be fine.
What would that be? And I wonder if it would be potentially just a nice off-lane grab.
Sure.
Here
Yeah.
and now.
Any kind of like weird.
No
little
darks
off-lane.
here though. No Sand King. Bat Rider also is just taken out. There's not too many options left that are solid. I mean, Axe has been familiar
Okay,
pick.
Void.
Oh,
Yeah,
Void.
look
Duh.
at that. That's so simple. Like,
Yeah.
right now they have 3 of the most generic heroes that can be played in not necessarily a variety of ways. I mean, obviously the Void we saw him mid earlier, and he's usually either carry or off lane.
Mhm.
But the Mirana here, you could see it as a support, you could see it as a mid. The Oracle obviously clear cut as a support, so you get some.
Well
flexibility.
now. Sumail hath played the Oracle in the mid lane on EG, so don't label it just yet,
All
Blaze.
right, you want
Okay.
to bet $5?
Yeah, I'm good. I will not take that bet.
I'm in, but no. So we're ready with a pretty generic draft from friends. It's really hard to tell when their timing is going to be, when their game plan is going to really hit its stride, as well as really what their game plan needs to be. Like, they can go for Moonlight Shadow plays, they can fight around Chronosphere, or they can, push and put pressure out. It really comes down to these next couple picks. Yeah, you taking Drow out, but there are still plenty of heroes that put out early damage and emphasis into things like Chronosphere. So yeah, I don't think that this draft is conclusive at all from friends. That makes it all the harder to pick against. Virtus.Pro tap into their last little bit of reserve time. They did get a slap on the wrist of 30 seconds reserve time taken out. So they do have less time to think about it as they do select the Outworld Devourer.
Now, I was tempted to ponder the idea of something like maybe a Tinker for Virtus.Pro, but I don't even know if no one has played Tinker or much of it at all. Even with his time on Vega, I don't think it was something they ever considered. They definitely favored him on a lot of the Shadow Fiend early on and a lot of the more traditional like Queen of Pain and stuff. But here he does get the OD. Powerhouse mid laner, usually can win and outmuscle and out CS anyone who pose him. Very good against the illusion-based meta.
Yeah.
Doesn't really have to worry about that, but does leave friends with only a couple of decent options. We were mentioning this guy a lot in the previous series, and something, I would anticipate we're going to be seeing a lot of through this meta. Nyx Assassin here.
Yep, great counter to the OD here. I believe the OD could have theoretically been just to make sure that Huskar is not on the table at all anymore. Between Witch Doctor and OD, you've got plenty of counters, and the Slaughter as well. You've got plenty of answers with air damage and physical to bring that hero down. So Nyx Assassin is going to be that answer instead, and of course, Mana Burn going to be the big thing against this OD. He builds up his int pool really high, so you just knock it right back down. And I actually think this Nyx will really be potent when he's able to go for the Burrow. If he gets Aghanim after this game, like the distance he's going to be from his opponents is going to be really good to counteract Witch Doctor's Death Ward. Like, if you have a Nyx Assassin burrowed anywhere in a fight up against a Witch Doctor, there's no way that the Death Ward can come out at a reasonable range unless you're like as far away as you can be, ether lensing it into the fight, and even then they can just kind of walk away from it because it's so spaced out.
Yeah.
So I think that Nyx provides a very nice counter there. Maybe even you Lucky Cask bounce it to the Spike Carapace and can stun the Witch Doctor that way. But either way, yeah, I think the Nyx is a pretty good answer to the overall game plan of Virtus.Pro. It's those big frontline AoE initiators that I was talking about.
Yeah.
Every one of them can kind of just impale themselves on their own sword when it comes to this Nyx Assassin. And the fact that he also is going to force the Witch Doctor and the Kunkka to buy Sentry Wards. Both these supports can play as both a 4 and a 5. But when they're put into this position where one of them has to be a 5, and they have to buy a bunch of sentries to try to counteract heroes like Nyx and the Mirana's Moonlight Shadow, suddenly you're just digging yourself a early grave here as you're just not able to get the economy up, and one of these supports is going to be very lacking. I expect it's going to be the Witch Doctor, so going to be very sad there. It is going to be the support Mirana as finally the core is revealed, and that's going to be the Phantom Assassin.
I don't know if Virtus.Pro are reading the draft or right or not. That final ban, Jakiro, was definitely very peculiar.
It comes down to the fact that they thought Mirana might be a mid, and obviously we see her more mid than support. But with an Oracle, Mirana is a hell of a support, and we're going to see it here.
And the final pick, Ramsey's Gyrocopter, it looks like. Gyrocopter really hasn't been the thing for a while now. It's kind of been more isolated to a more of a niche core suddenly. I guess like more of these BKB dependent kind of cores have been nerfed down a bit, or obviously Gyrocopter's numbers being tweaked since when he was really in his heyday. you know, around that TI5 and beyond period. But here and now seems to be the right pick for Virtus.Pro Blaze. I mean, do you see any justification behind the pick itself, or is there something we're missing between the lines?
I think it's really good at fighting into an Oracle, because the big thing is Oracle is a very single target support. He's able to save one guy really well, but if Call Down as well as Flat Cannon is doing damage to everybody, it's actually pretty difficult to keep them up. And you think about the situation where like PA is on the front lines here, you're not gonna Fate's Edict your own carry. That disarms him. It makes everything that he's meant to do completely null and void. So what he's gonna be doing is eating a lot of rocket barrage. I'm not sold on the fact that like right now Ramses is gonna be very BKB dependent against like the Nyx assassin. Every fight he's gonna get stunned for the max duration, which goes up to 2.4 seconds. It's kind of shitty, but in general, once he gets past that, once he gets his BKB, his MKB up, he's going to be able to do damage to the PA, he's going to be able to ignore the Nyx assassin, and he should be tanky enough to survive the Chronosphere as well, assuming he doesn't get arrowed after it. So it's an all-around good hero. I don't think it's like the best of anything, but I think right now if Gyrocopter has a poor man's Medusa, he's faster tempo with the call down, but he's lower scalability. But then you realize you're up against the Nyx assassin, you wouldn't want to Medusa anyway. So it works out. I think it's actually pretty solid.
And we didn't really get to talk too much here, as we're going to have the immediate, like, look at all these pre-plotted TPs because of that pause. That's the thing when you start with these pauses, everyone has so much time to be able to be like, okay, I'm going to TP, we're going to smoke, we're going to go there, I'm going to get that ward down on this spot, you go over there, and then we're going to scout that area. Look here for the first initiative. Like, everyone just already off to their quick rotations, as we see No Fear plot down a somewhat deep ward here to be able to catch any jungle movement, and obviously get some early insight as far as where the lanes are going to go. But Virtus.Pro smoked up, not looking to be revealed, and looking to keep that information a bit sacred. But what I was going to allude to is the PA pick up there at the end. Was it Broodmothers we saw with tremendous success on it in the group stage? I remember we saw that PA was almost undefeated in the early part of the group stage. And I mean, RNG could have certainly played a factor, but
I remember it definitely was a lot in Group A, because Escape went up against two different teams that picked it against them, and they lost both of their games through it. So I know that Escape struggled against it, and yeah, Broodmothers, I believe, was one of the two that opted for that route. Friends might have been the other one, actually, now that I think about it.
What about her position here? Now, you look at it on paper, and you're like, oh, she's melee outside of Dagger. Is she going to have good interaction with the setup of a Chronosphere? Yeah, you could be skilled enough to land that Chronosphere, so she's still on the outside, but that's if you're able to kind of make connect. Is she going to be okay with where she stands in this game with her team synergy?
I think the fact that she has an Oracle behind her helps a lot. I mean, like I said, he can't like prevent magical damage going against her, but he can still give her that time where she's got the false promise on her. And if she gets lifesteal and crits, then that false promise will allow her to stay in the fight for 20 seconds or something and really bring it in. She's also really good against OD, in the sense that OD is very dependent on getting hits in. And if she maxes Blur, then it's going to be until like Bloodthor comes out that the OD is kind of rendered half useless against her.
Definitely curious to witness what the Oracle is going to have to do in this game, because it feels like there's going to be a serious burden for him to be able to kind of, keep that PA in tabs, even though naturally can't reflect a lot of magic damage, does have that Fate's Edict to, slow the roll of any sort of magical burst if timed appropriately, or even just disarm a power hitting, OD who might not have a BKB or any way to get rid of it. So nonetheless, we get underway in the laning phase here, as we see the Faceless Void OD squaring off. OD should get the better end of a lot of the CS, but a resilient Undershock will try to just keep the sustain and survive. Afterlife is obviously going to be taking a side in the off lane here, so always want to fly in the jungle for now, just kind of keeping Mirana off the radar and trying to be a bit of a surprise here for Virtus.Pro, I'd imagine.
Yeah, so I mean, it's going to be a very quiet laning phase from what I can see. I mean, the Slardar and the Nyx will have to play it pretty far back. They can't directly contest the lane too heavily. I mean, Afterlife does have a lot of HP regen, has the poor man's shield, so he'll poke him broad, but in the end he has to be, and when he doesn't have a creep wave, he's going to have to fall back because of the nature of the Gyrocopter.
He'll get some jabs in, but won't be obviously able to commit too much, and we'll have to always watch his positioning for where these supports are, but he does have those couple of wards to help, and like now can even scout Lil. Moving in for that top 2-minute rune. Always want to fly is going to be covering the other side, and with an appropriate rune, they would love to get a setup here for Pasha, who, if they moved in at that moment, who knows? a certain setup of a Fortune's End into Arrow could lead to some serious destruction.
Yeah, I think Always Wanna Fly has been focused mostly on jungling at this point, but yeah, finding a little bit of early levels and gold through the jungle, kills off a couple of big creeps here and there with the arrow, but still wants to be relevant, and yeah, might just kind of find that opportunity where Posh doesn't see it coming, because they did actually get a D ward on both of the jungle wards. There was a sentry ward in the trees they took care of early, and they just recently took care of an observer on the top of the steps. So while there's still the mid ward in place, it looks like the fact that Posh, actually, he might just be dead. If they keep vision, he's dead.
Yeah, he's in the side shop now. There goes the full charge of the Fortune's End, which means that arrow is going to connect very easily there. Fortunately for Pasha, just a bit of overextension for his offlane position. I understand you're losing all your wards and you feel like you're crumbled in the dark, but do have to be careful.
Absolutely. So it's going to be very difficult for the Slaughter to get involved in that lane. Even like he started off actually going sprint and smoke TPing to the mid lane to get all the wards down, and 2 of them got countered. So good idea, but in the end, it just seems like Fred read the situation too well and went for the most obvious ward spots. Of course, they caught the sentry as well. So anyways, yeah, VP going to get some nice little pulls here and there. Seems like Ramsey's actually struggled a bit farming under tower. It's the early damage output of Gyrocopter. He only has like 50, 53 damage in this early stage, and so CSing under tower can actually be quite difficult, and it seems like he did miss a couple. Although he is top of the CS, I've heard like he could have had like 4 or 5 more.
I imagine so. Afterlife is still trying to come in at least close enough to get some XP. Can they get their own offlaner? They'll try. Carapace will slow their roll, but the Rocket Barrage will sweep on in, and with that added extra bit of pepper coming out from Ramses, they will get a kill themselves, and the score will be even 1-1.
So right now, Always Wanna Fly. I think he wants to make a move on mid pretty soon. I think that's a big deal, but because right now Undershock has been trading with no one pretty heavily, but it's still going to be the OD that tops out the lane. It's just the nature of this Astral Imprisonment.
This is good timing because they're already making their move. Arrow will fly out, but it's split between the 2. Lil made it to the high ground. They connect with a nice combo. Pull back, time walk. He's going to be good. Creates just a bit of space, and would now Always Wanna Fly kind of on the scene. No one cannot overcommit, so he's going to be forced to pull it off. Neither team will be able to get the kill in the mid lane.
Yeah, they could get the regen rune to the Void, but he's got so much regen coming out on the Courier that he might just opt for the HP. And yeah, he says Always Wanna Fly, just get your mana and head back over. Arrow actually, I think, just stole a creep from Slaughter, which would be pretty annoying, and it does mean that he's even further behind. Like, at least the Nyx can stay on the lane. Like, the Nyx can be up here still. Yeah, he did die once, but he can always... Oh, no, he might die again. He's got both stuns, but they are putting a lot of damage into him.
Carapace.
So
barely able to back it away. Ramses eating a couple of shots under the tower here.
Salve intact.
But it looks like they'll be able to heal him up and things will be fine, but very close call there for Afterlife. Pops the salve now and should be good. And all the meanwhile, troubled Pasha in that off lane. He's got the Talon together, and it looks like he's moved off and into the jungle now to kind of recap a bit of that farm.
Damn. I think I Always Wanna Fly, still hungry for that mid arrow. If he can just get one good arrow, they're in such a good position. But I think they'll wait for the Chrono now. He's almost level 6. Chrono into arrow is so damn easy from this position. And from there, you guarantee a very critical kill at this stage in the game.
Yeah, Lil was nearby as a possible safety net for this OD, but he's gone now, so if an opportunity does present itself, it could be a quick, clean kill onto no one, given that no rotations do come in to kind of interfere. So no one does have to be a bit cautious about his positioning and is actually already heading up towards that 6-minute room, but that's where it could be predicted for the setup here from Friends. They see no one's there now and let the chase begin. Chrono into arrow.
Oh, nice imprison.
Quick imprisonment, and now Lil's here, so any sort of attempt is going to be quickly debunked. Unfortunately, I guess without too much head vision and because it's nighttime, Always Wanna Fly can't really see the OD preemptively rotating towards that rune, can't get any early arrow in.
Yeah, their ward is very far
back. Astral into Torrent, into X. Undershock is going to be forced to get out of the Chrono. Always Wanna Fly already pulled away from the mid lane, so he's too far to be there and help out. Shows up now, but it's just too late.
Yep, waste the Oracle TP, waste the Chronosphere. Really just not the way that Friends wanted this early mid game to go.
Not at all.
Or mid lane.
So with 45 CS, it is though going to be the PA, the best thing going for Friends right now in this bottom lane, who holds the highest, but OD still coming right behind with the assistance of some kills now. Something to look out for as level 6s could be coming together pretty soon. That's when things can get a bit scary.
Yeah, I think the dynamic will shift a lot when the level 6 starts coming out on like the supports, for example, the offlaners in particular. Vendetta, as well as the ability to just kind of run in with the amp. It looks like Nampash will be scouted out though as he makes his move. Still doesn't hesitate going in for the crush, dodges the arrow and hits
nice! Real nice from Pasha. Avoids the back arrow, is able to still wiggle in for the crush. Makes easy execution once again on the Faceless Void.
So going to be able to get an early kill lead, but I really want to see what they do with it, where they go with it. I mean, obviously, Lil is getting close to level 6, which we obviously know it for the boat, the stun, and the ability to kind of hold everybody in place. But you got to think about that Kunkka's Rum too. With Voodoo Restoration and Kunkka's Rum, you're going to have a hell of a lot of sustainability and durability on these cores to just go a very offensive build and take an offensive stance in the fight.
And a lot of them are pretty single target heavy too, with the exception of that Mirana Starstorm. So it's going to be so tough as we have an engagement here. Lil sweeping in from behind, call down on top of it, Afterlife. Though in Vendetta is able to run up north. No Fear looking to make chase here. Always want flies in the back lines if they can land a setup. An arrow will be there as a follow. Ramses tries to turn it back around, but they get the the false promise off, which keeps them alive. They will be able to move in. Ramses, turns it around, gets a huge rocket barrage off, and will be able to clean out the Mirana. Wonderfully done right there. Turns it around, makes it a triple. This guy gets backed into a corner, and he just lets it all out in a crazy anime-like fury.
Yeah, it really comes down to the Purifying Flames there. They were not able to dispel the last one. He keeps that heal rolling on himself, and they thought they had enough damage, but just by a little bit, they couldn't. Because it actually turns out to be a perfect play from the Gyrocopter to move in on the Oracle, because when you have Fortune's End channeling, you want to Purifying Flames and dispel it immediately with the Fortune's End. Instead, because he's so close, your Fortune's End hits, then the Purifying Flames, and it negates all of its damage over the next 9 seconds. So really good for the Gyrocopter to move in, get a kill there with the Rocket Barrage on the front line, or at least force out the False Promise on the Oracle, and then fall back immediately thereafter, play around the trees, and let his teammates swoop in for the win. So now we have a Chrono in mid. We'll see if it can be anything made of it with an arrow coming out. No
connection there. No one's still alive for now as the Coconut flies through. Turnaround hammer drop. And it could be another big fight for Virtus.Pro as they quickly wipe the floor. Oh, we just got a triple. Now we got a triple-double for Ramses. This is ridiculous already. Virtus.Pro 7-1 to start things out. Oh, it's been real unfortunate for Friends, and in particular, always want to fly in the Mirana, seeking out opportunities all across this early game, and none of them really working out.
Yeah, fragmented rampage for a Gyrocopter over the past couple of minutes, and Ramses is going to just skyrocket here. I was talking about a couple key items he needed: BKB, MKB, very important this game, and he's going to have them in no time at all. A nice little play from the OD too. This Purifying Flames is such an interesting spell because it can do so much for you, but it also could turn against you if you don't use it properly. And in this case, the OD just imprisons himself, gets half a health bar back under his own imprisonment, and then comes back swinging. They're reinforcing, they're rotating really well for these engagements, and they're prolonging them long enough that not only do they get the reinforcements, but that they're able to survive through a few tricky little plays like this.
That's such a fun interaction that might not, I mean, I guess I can give him the credit, he's the pro player. I've taken into account that self-imprisonment to even benefit from the Purifying Flames, but something if you're getting chased down and being nuked apart from a Oracle, one quick self-imprisonment, you're going to turn right back with suddenly a huge wealth of life. But top lane, Ramses already big and rich from all those kills, looking to stack on top of it even further with a tier 1 takedown. Doesn't get the last hit, but they get the gold nonetheless. And Virtus.Pro seriously on the up and up. You're looking at getting close to a 5K net worth advantage at just over 10 minutes in.
Yeah, really great laning from Virtus.Pro, being able to pick things apart across the board. And while Ninepash did have a pretty lackluster start, he's made his way with the Iron Talon in the jungle and is actually able to outpace the Nyx at this moment. So he's going to find himself a Blink Dagger at a really good time, around the time that the OD has the Veil, and that call down is approaching level 2. Again, just like Luna, Gyrocopter finds a really good power spike with the second point and call down, so you're just able to go in so frequently with so much damage.
Everything going along the agenda here for Virtus.Pro. In fact, even going faster than expected with that serious surplus of farm. So only adds more pressure here on Friends and what the retort's going to be. You know, as already mentioned, always want to fly, not able to find really a lot in the early game. So where your mid-game Marana would pick up is usually benefiting from a lot of kills and already putting together something like the Ags. He's just going to have to be stalled out for now. And Friends trying to make the most working around these chronospheres, but you know, those as well, unfortunately, have been either defensive or not able to kind of get too much closure with the resilience of Virtus.Pro.
And this is actually opts for the Dragonlance here. Just gets so much farm early on that he can pretty much go into anything before he needs a BKB. You don't want to just rush a BKB raw at like 15 minutes. You're just going to burn all the charges too quickly. So Dragonlance is a nice intermediary item, gives him great stats, and it makes it impossible to kite him. Like where some lineups can kite a gyrocopter and keep enough distance where he can't actually hit anything, and therefore can't flak everyone. It's literally impossible when he has Dragonlance. He's just got way too much range.
And you can even see it applied there. It just jumps all the way past the tower. That one will be secure. A TP in from Nyx. Vendetta doesn't come with anyone else yet, but will allow a bit of scouting information in case Virtus.Pro were to rotate up to the top lane, let's say, for a response.
Yeah, he just wants to break a stun. As soon as he sees OD go for like an Invis Rune TP, he'll just stun him and walk away.
Still stalking him for now. Moonlight Shadow comes out, a deep and committed Crush inside the woods here. Looking to go for Always Want to Fly. False Promise will be there to keep him alive. Coconut will lock him in place. With a call down hit, it might be enough to be able to get the finish. Meanwhile, jumping from Undershock gets the Chrono off. They'll quickly burst down and finish out the Slardar. Time dilated here. Solo and Ramses will pull off.
But Kuka's ready if they go in. If they pursue even further, they're actually just going to get turned on so hard. They've got Veil, Torrent, Sands Eclipse, just a lot of quick turn damage, and it's not really like something that Friends could do to pursue. It was a nice looking Chrono. In the end, they only get the Slardar out of it. Not bad for Friends, but not particularly good for them either.
Yeah, definitely made the right call there, where most would feel a bit bloodthirsty to capitalize on a situation that your PA has just shown up and you just got that kill, but they had read the situation pretty nicely and opted to kind of pull off a bit. Obviously, in the end, don't come out as victorious as Virtus.Pro, who on the up and up still. Move over to the Roche pit, have the amp damage, look to put it to
they
work.
Actually scout it. I would never in my life think this was happening, but with Slaughter, anything's possible. Unfortunately, it's possible they'll be able to take it 5 versus 4.
Yeah, they got the scout. The information's there, but now there's not as much in numbers. Nearly not enough as much in farm. That's an easy Roche for Virtus.Pro. Now, Blaze, if you compare this to our very first game today with Vegas Drow lineup, do you think that they were in this kind of momentum, or do you think Virtus.Pro were even doing better than that?
Even more so.
Virtus.Pro?
The Gyrocopter had 6 kills in 15 minutes. I mean, he is massive. Like, we were talking about, he barely hit for 50 in the laning phase. Now he's hitting for 140 on the entire enemy team.
Well, Yoku was feeling himself for that one. Jumped in against no one, but now he's the one in serious trouble. False Promise will be there, but the boats connect. Right clicks are connecting all day. He gets popped, but he actually lives through a lot of it. I don't know how much Blur was there to help, but he's alive and well.
I'm assuming a couple, because that's a lot of pure damage that you're negating there, but all the same, I think the Fate's Edict did come out in time to prevent Sands Eclipse's damage, as well as heal him up quite a bit with the flames. But in the end, down bottom is where the Aegis is lost at the cost of Nyx's assassin.
Yeah, gets that jump in, commits even his call down and company, but they will lose this extra life for it. All the better, though, for Virtus.Pro. They already had the upper hand in the mid lane as they make their approach for the Tier 1.
Oh, boy.
Friends close. Always Want to Fly, hiding on the Moonlight Shadow, is able to leap away from the Crush, but not Undershock. He was in the action, trying to commit maybe a Chrono, but now will be forced to totally withdraw.
I think they got him, actually. He did already leap away, but they don't want to go too far under tower for this one here. They're worried about that Chronosphere. Even though they do see him with the amp damage, still hard to position against. So they'll just take the easy breakdown in the Tier 1 and then make their move towards the Ancients.
Pasha leads in first. He forces up and hopes to maybe get in the cutoff on an out-of-position Friends member, but not going to be the case this time. So they walk away, taking down the last Tier 1 tower on the side of Friends, and can confidently move back into their own grind of farm. They already lost that Aegis, so they're not under any sort of pressure of time to move in, but Friends are under pressure as far as not letting this game just absolutely slip away, so they need to do something to shift the momentum. They have now smoked up, migrating through the mid lane here, hoping to get an approach there, but OD just quickly slips away.
Yeah, it looks like that Dire Observer Ward should have picked up the smoke, but it seems like they weren't looking at the right place at the right time, so they have to burn the scan on it, but they get the read they need, and they'll just go ahead and disengage. So Afterlife can't find anything, or the entirety of Friends will keep looking. But I'm wondering actually if the game plan for No One as this game progresses is actually to astrally imprison anybody that gets Fortune's Ended. Like, that spell lasts quite a long duration at like 7, 8, or 9 seconds, but 4 seconds of disable on them is actually a pretty good way to mitigate it.
Jump in, crush, always want to fly. Gets some help there, but
stuck.
they already got the astral imprisonment onto No Fear. Yeah, always want to fly did leap himself into an awkward position, getting stuck, but was able to TP away. Oracle, the martyr in this one, sacrifices his own life for the greater good of keeping Always Want to Fly alive. But Virtus.Pro are now approaching Tier 2 territory.
And it looks like they won't be contested in any way. Even without the Aegis, it just doesn't matter. You can arrow this gyrocopter, but there is no follow-up as we have 2 carries, or 4 heroes pushing down bottom.
Pasha spots out Afterlife, makes the crush, and they're ready to go with the dust too. They pull him back, they torn him up. This is going to be what looks like our most one-sided game of the day. Could be a fast game 1. Back at bottom lane, Yoku. Oh, he Blink strikes out to Undershock to make it to safety. Will TP away. They ping there, but they'll already assume the TP was had. So they'll let that area go, even though Undershock is still hanging around with his TP. And actually opts to pull back now.
Yeah, they haven't had to even invest that much in detection. Like, we've seen like maybe 4 sentry wards come out. We have the dust available, but this is pretty much just generating kills, which pays for itself very quickly. So across the board, I think Virtus.Pro's economy is fine. Even the Kunkka gets to go for an armlet here, and they kind of just get to continue to build themselves up across the board. It's going to be on Friends to like find really early BKBs and just fight as aggressively as possible while they're still at their max value.
Which, as we see, Yoku's BKB is coming together. Still needs a couple of hundred of gold before he can make it there. While you compare that to the other side, you got Ramses sporting, you know, almost 3K in net worth difference between him and that PA. Confidently just easing past BKB as he got his Dragonlance, now S and Y. Do you think he'll just continue to play this one for more damage and just go straight for the MKB? While Nyx Assassin does get taken down bottom lane, crushed and beaten by Pasha.
Yeah, he seems clearly not worried about like the Nyx Assassin stuns or anything like that. If the Nyx was snowballing like you normally see, then I think it would be much more necessary for Ramses to go for the Black King bar, but as it is, he's got great farming items. He's able to bolster himself up really quickly. He's top net worth for a reason, because Dragonlance and Sanyasha allows you to just crush neutral and lane creeps, and he's able to farm himself up 153 last hits, as well as get himself 8-0 and 1 in terms of KDA. So I think he will go for the MKB next, and from there, like, there's almost nothing Friends can do to stop him unless the Nyx really steps up his game and gets these big stuns on him.
We'll see if they can do it. Virtus.Pro, though, the ones definitely taking charge in the map. Just head back from bottom lane to mid, now going back to bottom lane. Keep kind of reaching to see. Friends are overstepping their boundaries and they can get another crush approach. But after Pasha just made that move on the Nyx Assassin in the bottom lane, Friends are the wiser now and not looking to put themselves in any sort of risky situation. They have already lost their jungle entirely. Virtus.Pro have taken up pretty much the whole southern half of this map and are looking to force maybe Friends to pull back, but no, they've actually already head towards this top lane. They see that this Undershock Faceless Void is creeping down the top lane. I don't know if they're hoping to catch him. It looks like they might. Hiding in the woods, there's Lil. It's a little bit closer, they could X him. They lose that tier 2 bottom lane. And now we wait. As Nyx is behind. He's got to be careful. There's a sentry right on top of him. Oh, they popped the dust. They got him. Oh, no. Hiding within the trees. Okay.
Trying to chop through the trees. Trying
Okay.
to get
Torrent doesn't work. Death Ward doesn't work. They finally spot him enough to get the X into a Torrent. Still an awkward spot. Now, another ult. Call down will be there. This damn bug. Virtus.Pro finally make their way.
He's really role-playing a bug right here. Like, this is the one that like is sitting around your house.
Yeah.
You go for him 3 times. You got the paper towel.
Gets under
or
the
whatever.
fridge. He's under the fridge. You're just like, get out of there, and you have to get the broomstick involved.
Yeah.
That's unfortunately this Nyx assassin. Now they ultimately do end up crushing the bug, and Virtus.Pro will once again take reign and decide when it's their turn to be able to kind of move on and forward. I don't know if they want to wait out for the Roche. That'd probably be the safer option. But time is on their side, Blaze.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, even the Gyrocopter feels confident enough to go for an ultimate orb now and can go towards Scotty, can go towards... I don't think Manta's that great here, to be honest with you. But
unless he hates Fate's Edict, I guess, and just wants to Manta it off.
yeah, I mean, it seems to go a pretty long distance when you should probably still go for like a BKB or something if you're that worried about it.
That's
but,
true.
You know, we'll see. I would say Scotty is actually quite solid, though. You get this massive pool of stats to play around with.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, you can kind of just do whatever you want from there. But if he wants like a quick grab, he can absolutely just disassemble this on Giasha, which is something you don't see very often these days.
Speaking of quick grabs, they get a quick grab on poor little Undershock there, just casually trying to farm the bottom lane. It's Bin Pasha who's been the enforcer and the one to initiate a lot of these pickoffs, and he doesn't stub his toe on that one either. They had gone through the river, so unfortunately this ward for Friends didn't spot any of the movement, and he just thought he was totally in the clear.
A really good ward game from Virtus.Pro, really good vision across the board. It just seems like they're just making all the right moves at this point in time, and there doesn't seem a clear answer to Friends. I mean, they have a 10-second BKB on PA. This is what you want to try to bring a fight back, but as it stands right now, we're just not seeing enough. Nyx is under-leveled, which is actually a really big deal this game because he wants both max Carapace for the Gyrocopter and max mana burn for the OD.
Yeah.
And yeah, in general, they just need more in every capacity.
Radiant's bottom tower.
We'll have to see if they'll be able to get it. But in the meantime, it's going to be Virtus.Pro moving in mid lane. Nice quick false promise will help Yoku escape what could have been a very hairy situation. Doesn't stop Pasha from chasing though. Can he clinch it in?
Oh.
Woo. Quick jump back by Yoku towards the Oracle. Oracle might be the one to pay the price though. Moves in with the crush. That gets Solo close enough. He casually pokes him once. And then Lil comes in and shoots him right in the face, Blaze. That was hard to watch.
Yeah,
Nonetheless, they get what they need, and now they are going to be outside the front door. Or not. They'll just pull off. They can go back for the Roche if they think it's up.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the timing now because the Nyx did end up Vendetta sniping the Courier, which delays the Scotty for the Gyrocopter, unfortunately. There's no way you're going to get 4 items without a Courier in this condition, and of course the Orb of Venom is still sitting on it too, so yeah, it's just one of those situations where you kind of have to wait the next 2 minutes out unless you're essentially negating your carriage farm advantage. Like, yes, he's 14,000 net worth, but with 3,500 and 2,100 in an Ultimate Orb, that's about like 5,500 gold. That's almost useless.
Oh, if they could pick off Gyro, that would be great. I don't know if he could do it alone Afterlife, but at least he's scouting him.
I would love to see him try. I would love to just see how that could possibly happen. The little level 11 bug now getting soloed by the Slardar, trying to go in on the big man, and that is the Gyrocopter.
Ow! Oh! Ooh!
It's a bit much, man.
No one hitting like a truck right now. Get that bug out of here.
That is a David versus Goliath moment right there. If you're ever soloing a Gyrocopter as a 5 levels underneath Nyx Assassin, man.
They just need to relocate to come from a Wisp player and someone else in a different game.
Yeah, just get the Aghanims on Wisp so you can relocate game to game. You're good. But
VP in the pit. This is all they need. That Aegis is the ticket to get them down the map and inside the Friends base, closer to a Game 1 closure of this best of 3. And remember, we have Elements Pro Gaming waiting in the final for either of these teams. There's the jump. Oh, man. He's going to get it. Can he grab it? Where is it? Grab it, boys. No. Ramses is going to pick it up under the chrono. Could not get it done. And now it's going to be Virtus.Pro muscling on in. Mistiming on the call down. Doesn't matter. As No Fear is just going to get shredded apart at the conclusion of that Astral Imprisonment. Well, Friends tried to get in there, Blaze, but they didn't get the Aegis. They didn't get anything except a faster way into the fountain. Hey. Oh, Pasha, did Disrespect dive? Ah, okay.
And he's got so I mean, he's just getting extra intel. Like, he's got Geometry Sight, he's got amp damage, so he can just always know about the enemy. And positioned perfectly, which is what happened here. We had a smoke from VP. They put 3 heroes outside the pit. The only hero that was accessible in the Chronosphere is a 3k HP gyrocopter, and then you didn't even click the damn Aegis that was at his feet.
Did he not drop the item? It was hard.
No, he had the slot. Or no, he didn't.
Maybe he like had one of those moments where you drop your item and accidentally pick it up again. It was hard to be able to gauge it there, but in the heat of the moment, not able to get his hands on it. Butterfingers were had. And, well, Undershock in, X'd out, and possibly dead. Fate's Edict, not enough to keep him alive. Oh, Time Walk, though. That's good enough. Okay. Leap in, always want to fly. Please, Lord, don't take our Rex. The Titanic has sailed.
PA really needs to go in and just do PA things, but they've got the rum on them for about 10 more seconds, so she has to wait it out. No, they're not even trying. The PA has used BKB once this entire damn game. Has crit 0 times as far as I'm concerned on hero.
I saw one crit, but it didn't do much.
Like, the Gyrocopter didn't have to buy MKB.
Oh.
She lived through one fight because of evasion. Like, this wasn't a PA game. This was a feed Gyrocopter to become a giant monster. Like, he became a flying fortress from a little, like, B-wing plane. Like, oh my goodness. This was so one-sided.
That whole, like, triple into double, like rampage tech, like that was like almost the nail in the coffin in itself.
How do you shake that one off, man? I mean, they started off okay for the first 5 minutes, and then it just all went to shit when they started trying to like go on the gyrocopter and put pressure out. The Oracle couldn't find the spell combos he needed. The gyrocopter just makes the right movements every time. The OD made some good plays too, and suddenly they're like 10 kills down, and they just don't have a road to recovery from that. They expected to play from ahead. You talked about the fact that the Void and the PA don't really sync up well in terms of team fights.
Yeah.
So Yoku was just expected to be ahead, to fight ahead, and just to start critting on some guys, and barely got to see that at all from him. It really was a very weak game from Friends across the board, and hopefully they'll be able to shake it off and shape up for game 2.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is entirely. I love Lil's finishing items. He really hasn't changed at all. He's always about that life. I'm just gonna totally screw over any sort of stats person who's trying to research the way I itemize anything.
You always have to go for the actual item build up. Yeah, if you look at the graphs, you'll see his item trajectory. That'll work, I guess.
Let's see.
Top right there.
Top right, player items, and then Lil, as you can see.
Arblet, crit, and then sell everything for another crit.
And
because that's what I like to do.
Yeah, okay, Lil. So we have the data here. You're just a big nonsenser here at the end. Nonetheless, game 1 goes their way. It doesn't take a lot of nonsense to pull out these kind of wins. Virtus.Pro off to a hot start. 1-0 for them. We'll cut to a break. When we come back, it'll be myself, KotLGuy, and Blaze once again here for the BTS Europe Series as we get into game 2 of Friends versus Virtus.Pro.